Miami over Texas A&M by a touchdown. That's a high-scoring game for that game, though, at 42-35. Wow. I'll take the result, but like, whew, a shootout like that,
it's quite the departure from last year's game.
What was it, 14-9?
17-9?
Something like whatever it was, 17-9, 14-9. It was, it was a rock fight. That would be a very, very big departure for both teams on that. That would be crazy. But at the end, Miami coming out with that win, sign me up. Even if it is that, almost 80 over-under number. What else we got in there? ATM is the correct split. Yep. But capital T, so little a, capital T, little M, because that's what they have on the helmet. I want to upset Clemson this year. Who doesn't? I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would like that. But let's kind of game theory this out. If you had to pick one as a Miami fan, beat Clemson for the first time in 5 ever, or beat Florida State? I think the answer is clearly Florida State. But, still, I just want a Clemson game that is a one-possession game. That's what I want. I want a competitive game and result against Clemson, even if it's 35-27. So we lose by 8, but that's still one possession because it's a 2-point conversion. You know what I mean? Like, so a showing like that would go so far for this program. And like, honestly, as I sit here, I've been saying 7-5, prove me wrong. I'm chalking that up as an L from today, from way back. You know what I mean? But if you can show that like you belong to be on the field with them, if you have a game where the result is within a score, 8 points or fewer, that would, especially because they've blown our doors off every single time that we've played them in the last decade. That's a big step in the right direction. And I think that, it is a little bit of not a little bit, it is moral victory talk of what would an acceptable loss be. But an acceptable, like a 35-27 at home loss to Clemson, like 31-24, even, I know I said I wanted it to be one score, but like a 34-24 would be such a big step in the direction we want to go that even I think that would be when you look back at the end of the season, you would look at that as acceptable because Clemson's probably going to be pretty good. And while at the time that Texas A&M 17-9 loss looked acceptable, both teams were dumpster juice. So like that really wasn't acceptable because you're like, hey, they were really bad. We probably could have beaten them and got to a bowl game. But then they're saying, yeah, we got to 5 and we beat y'all. So like, if we're really bad, what were you? And we were really bad. But like, yeah, what at the time looked like it could have been and looked at the time like it was an acceptable loss to A&M at the end definitely was not. So, we'll see how those kind of things go.
Yeah, I think Florida State would be the win that most Miami fans, and if I'm going to play the role of Miami fan, I'm going Florida State number 1. I'm going Clemson number 2, even if that sacrifices another game that I can't think of a team that would be Georgia Tech. I don't know what the schedule is because it's not the cut and dry Coastal
Boston
Division.
College, Louisville.
Yeah, like even if they have to sacrifice a Boston, I know that they don't have a choice, but right. If we hypothetically can sacrifice a Boston College game, people are going to understand, okay, Miami's still building, Cristobal's building. I think for the national recognition of right. beating a Florida State. And then your number 2 is Clemson for obvious reasons. And then I think third is Texas A&M because I just think there's more national recognition. That's the big out-of-conference game. And I am expecting Texas A&M to be a much improved football team or to have much improved results this year. Now, if they lose to Miami, then maybe they won't fulfill that type of season. But those would be the 3 in order that I would.
Well, let me ask you this then. North Carolina or Texas A&M.
If there's a chance of going to the ACC championship game,
No, just in your. So we know like Florida State,
yeah,
Clemson,
I get
1,
it.
2.
Yeah, and it's later in the season to show more progress later in the season.
It's like 3 weeks later, or well, no, it's like a month later.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sways me toward North Carolina being number 3.
I just think that those are clearly like the top 4, and just was kind of interested, but we respect all opponents to beat them. I really want to see what happens with A&M because they brought a fox into the henhouse with Bobby Petrino, which I think is wild for Jimbo to do. But yeah, would love to get that win for a variety of reasons.
And also, again, North Carolina, not just because it's North Carolina and not just because it's a conference game again, but because it's later. Let's say this team finishes 7-5. If they start 3-5 and finish 7-5, the viewpoint, the perspective that people will have on that versus just kind of middling along 4-4, 5-4, 5-5, and then the result 7-5, where it looks like there's dramatic improvement, push toward the end. Same record, but I just think it has a different look.
I think so too, but also you're talking in November, going into Carter Finley of NC State winning, going up to Doak Campbell in Tallahassee winning, beating Louisville, and then going up to Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill the day after Thanksgiving and winning. In your scenario of being 3-5 and then all of a sudden winning those last 4, that's the path in November. 3 road games, including Florida State. So.
Yeah, that's not the path I suggest to start 3-5.
No, the one that was in your hypothetical, right?
But that's a better look. I think we're having a different conversation, especially in the chat at 7-5 in December, having done that rather than being 6-1 in finishing 7-5.
Fact, for sure. The tone and tenor of the conversation would be vastly different, but. Like I said, I've been set on that. And again, the over/under for this year is 7.5. So I really think that mine is going to be at that number, either right under or right over. I think it's a perfectly placed over/under number for this year. So yes, either that 7-5, 8-4. I lean 7-5 just because I've seen things go sideways here more often than not recently. But it will be interesting. And yeah, we're only a couple of weeks away from a Friday night opener. For the Canes against the Redhawks of Miami. And I'm going to get out of here a little quickly today because we are only a day away from my birthday. Turn that up. You already know. August 17th, the most awesome day in the history of the world. So
happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But stateoftheu.com, we're always open there for you. I got to finish my defensive ends preview. I got a bunch of great stuff coming to you this season. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go turn up for my birthday. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys sometime.
Falconer TRX, we see you one more time. Lose to Texas A&M early, then beat Texas A&M in the playoffs. Okay.
I mean, if it were to go that way, I would accept that as the order of events. So if you have to get the first one to get the second one, then fine, I'm with it. But yeah, man. So I think good week back. Good to see you guys. I know that you're probably clamoring for DeTavio to come back, which we can probably make happen and everything. But hey, always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Great to see you. Great conversation, and yeah.